because we haven't really thought about animation in Blakeney's room for the last like 2 weeks. Okay, I'm gonna pop open the screen share so you can see what we're doing here. You should also be able to see that the thread has been posted. I don't know if it notifies you guys when I post announcements or when I post replies to the announcements, but I have got Tuesdays up with our things that we're working on. Okay. Before we get too into solid drawing review and then our last animation principle with a Curipod and video, and then I also have a prompt for you to do a little drawing on appeal is the name of the principle, and then there's an exit task we'll get to a little bit later. Our goals for today are to recall which animation principles we have covered thus far, which will complete your collection of principles and skills with the 12th one. Okay? I also have our Monday morning message, which I did not play yesterday, but I can grab it from here so you guys can get an update on what is happening this week as we get back into the swing of being at school. Alrighty. So, also, now's a good time to check your flex. Make sure you know where you're headed for your flex time today, your regular Tuesday flex. Let's talk a little bit about where you can find some solid drawing resources. Shifting gears just a bit here. I always put the most recent module at the top of the stack. Okay, so we've got ours for this week right here. And then this was our one from the week before break. It's looking a little bare because we were pretty focused on that project number 3 head turn. Which, by the way, if you have yet to finish that, you can still turn it in. But you should turn it in before finals because we have less time than you think before we get into our last project, which is something I will also talk about a little bit later this week. Okay? If we go back to the 9th to the 13th, which was about a week before we actually went to the break, you can take a look at some of these entry tasks here. And you can see there's going to be a lot of different practices accessible here. These are just from the 10th and the 12th. Oops, not that one. I'm encouraging you guys to go back and look at the previous modules. Look at the previous weekly threads. Let's take a look at the 9th to the 13th weekly thread. Okay. There'll be videos of any of the type of lectures that I might have given. Okay, on something like the Loomis method, on something like solid drawing, especially from the 10th. If we go to my channel, it should also have, oh, that's something from web design. If we go back a little bit, you can see there's timing charts. You guys have SGA stuff. Here's some of our expression building. That's for yearbook. Should have a playlist that I will link for you guys here in just a second. Okay. It's only got 4 videos. Never mind. I've definitely been putting stuff into that, but apparently it's just not working. But the week of the 9th to the 13th of December is going to have a good amount of lectures recorded on here, as well as on head turn. If we scroll down past some of the calendar and resources, it's also got a couple other videos linked there for your accessibility sake. Okay? So, that being said, let's go back to today's thread edition. And we're going to talk about our final animation principle, which is the principle of appeal. All right? This is the last time we'll be watching this guy's videos through the breaking down the Disney example of the 12 principles of animation. Frank Thomas, Ollie Johnston. Let's watch this real quick, and then we'll do our Curipod. Okay. So, appeal is one that's less related to the actual animation checkboxes, so to speak, your to-do lists. Whereas like a head turn happens like this. This is how you read a timing chart. Keyframes mean this. Extremes mean this. Appeal is where you get to put a lot of your stylistic choices, where you get to put a lot of your sort of shape communication, and where you get to really make your animation yours and put your special spin on the thing that you are trying to create. To further understand appeal here, I have a Curipod, which I would like you guys to join in the next 3 minutes max. 2 minutes, actually. Let's go 8:30 by the wall. Okay? Let me get this started. Mute it as well, because I don't like this music anymore. Your pin is 902225. Pop out my moderator over here. We're going to do some appeal. If you would like to grab a tablet and pen, now is your opportunity to do that. You can also, I think you can join the Curipods from an iPad or a Galaxy tablet or other Android type tablet, and then you have access to styluses or the pens that work at the front of the room here. So, how many of y'all are here? There's 4, 7, plus 4 is 11, and then 2 more is, you can see my math brain working here, 13, 14, plus 4 is 18. Okay, we got 12 of y'all. If you've not yet joined, let's get into there in the next 1 minute, 60 seconds. Please and thank you. I'm going to turn on different music. This is one we're moving a little bit away from having device distractions out because you might need your phone to complete this Curipod, but try to do it. Please and thank you. Alright, I'm starting at 8:30, so if you're not yet in, let's go ahead and get joined, please. 902225. Alright, let's get started. Okay, we are highlighting our final animation principle of appeal. Okay. I'm curious, what do you already know about the principle of appeal in animation? Whether that is your own assumptions, how you could put appeal into your own characters and work, where you've seen different styles become appealing. We'll go to 30 on this one. Okay. No, we'll keep it at 3 actually. What do you already know about this principle that we have are introducing? We have appeal is about making the characters look visually pleasing in a way that makes them stand out. Very true. Additionally, when a character is appealing, their visual can also communicate certain values that the animator wants to associate them with. True. It says overall, the big one about appeal is going to be shape language, something we get into briefly in character design, if we have the time with finals coming up. Let's take a look here. Appeal is making characters more interesting to look at and to follow, adding personality through important details and making it stand out. For example, could have skinny limbs, making them lanky, and therefore they could seem clumsy. Exactly, could is a good word you could use there. Or if another character is large and is wearing heavy armor with their head smaller than the body, they could seem scary or threatening. For sure. If you think about like the cast of, or the main characters of Kubo and the Two Strings, which is in a movie I have not seen, but I do know they have very distinct character design. Here's our 3 main characters, right? All 3 of these characters are going to communicate something based on their unique shapes, based on their unique attributes, based on the things that are the animators have decided is important about their story. Okay? You're making assumptions because of the appeal of this big beetle character, right? You're making assumptions about what he thinks and what he feels. You're making assumptions about this main younger child character because of the appeal, okay? You're making assumptions. Your brain is doing a lot of work, and as animators, we can take advantage of that fact, okay? Makes the animations appeal to the viewer by adding effects and changing the character to make it unique. Perfect. Good job, you guys. Got it perfectly. So, Just to recap, given an official definition, the principle of appeal is crucial in animation. It's one that's going to be present at all other steps along the way. Maybe it won't be super clear what is appealing about your characters while you're sketching them out or laying out the sort of block work, sort of the foundation for what turns into your final product, but you will still be considering what is appealing about this character. It makes our characters and scenes. You can also apply the idea of appeal to your backgrounds, to your staging, to your additional details, are engaging and interesting. It's going to make your characters more relatable and visually pleasing. It involves design choices, making things the way you lay them out, that capture the audience's attention, kind of like a hook in an essay. You can do it through simplicity, through exaggeration, or charm, okay? Making a character very sort of charming, very visually interesting. Something about them to love, something about them that's very unique is going to be their charm. And then appeal is really important because it creates memorable and impactful animations, okay? There's something that the more you get into sort of design as a whole and making things in visuals, is that a lot of the times the best stuff is invisible. You don't really, what that means is you can't see all of the things that make it appealing. You just know because of the way that it is appealing. And that's because the designer or the animator or the graphic artist or the concept artist have made choices in order, with the principle of appeal, to get into your brain in that way and make them memorable and impactful. If you think about the animated movies or games or just pieces of work that you have seen that you kind of carry with you that you always are remembering, it's because they had something impactful about them that stuck with you, okay? And by taking advantage of the appeal, by using these principles that we've covered, you can create those for other people in the future, okay? I would like you to discuss with your neighbor, your nearby neighbor, how the principle of appeal influences your favorite animated movie. Think about things like character design and overall visual impacts. All right, let's go 3 minutes on this. Okay, 8:40. What? I can't count. 8:42. Okay, cool. So, would anybody care to share the things about their favorite animated movies that they find appealing? Or that your partner found appealing? What did you guys discuss? You can just shout them. Oh, Gina? Yeah.
It's usually like the colors choices.
The colors specifically, like the whole palette, or is there a specific
It's
character?
usually like the palette.
Okay, so all of the colors are appealing to Gina. What else you guys got? What else is appealing in your favorite works? Go ahead.
I like the unrealistic part about Milo and Stitch. And
Okay.
and how he grows and rolls his arms.
Yeah, it's like, it's not possible in typical filmmaking. That's also a good appeal to animation, to games as well, is the fantasy of it. Yeah, Sam.
In like How to Train Your Dragon,
Mhm.
the main one, Tues, doesn't have any teeth, which kind of makes him seem like friendly.
Yeah. Because it's presented at the start as his character is very intense, right? With all the lore about Night Furies. But then you find out he's just like a pet. And he's just a very sweet sort of thing. Cool. All right. Anybody else? What else did you guys discuss? Let me hear from one more. What do you find appealing in your favorite animated movies? I know I have plenty. I think my example is going to be kind of similar to like what Zahid and Gina were saying with, I like how in animated works it's so unrealistic in a good way. Like you get a lot of room to be creative when you're animating and when you're putting things together in new ways. And I think that the possibilities, especially of like the Ghibli movies or Ghibli movies, are one of my most appealing things about animation. All right, now tell me if you can describe a scene from a movie where appeal was effectively used. You were effectively drawn into the scene based on some of the design choices. 3 minutes on this one. Let's take a look at some of these answers here. Okay. In Avatar The Last Airbender, Momo is small to make him not look intimidating, and whenever he tries to, quote, scare somebody, it makes him look funny because he's a small character. Yeah, very appealing. It's a nice little storytelling moment because, again, you got it in one. He's small, so trying to look big makes it look kind of silly. Entangled, when Rapunzel is in the boat at nighttime, her golden hair is visually appealing because it contrasts the setting. Very true. In Oppenheimer, when the bomb explodes, it explodes in a weird way because it compresses on itself and then blows up, which shows the oddity and uniqueness, exactly the appeal of the story of a nuclear bomb. In Arcane, when animating Jinx's breakdowns, the animator uses a lot of flashy colors and flashbacks to make her breakdowns seem super authentic yet disturbing. Very live, very vivid, right? Like as if you were seeing them in front of you instead of having a flashback. The colors also match with Jinx's color palette, telling you that these two are related, and overall style. Very nice. I haven't seen Arcane yet, but people keep saying it's really good. In the dog pound scene, when Stitch wakes up in Lilo and Stitch, Lilo's trying to get a dog and gets Stitch. Stitch appeals in that scene because of his difference in color. Exactly, it's doing some type of sticking out that's relevant to the story, that's trying to tell something to the audience. Captain Underpants, the main enemy. I have not seen that one, but I imagine their design clearly communicates that they're an enemy. Let's see. When Elsa changes dresses in Frozen to a much prettier dress that matched her powers, which does make sense in the plot, exactly. Something is changing about Elsa. She's realizing things, and so her outfits are going to change to match that, okay? This also happens a lot in Dragon Ball Z, when you can tell someone's kind of journey through their power level based on their outfits, their attire, and their accessories like hair or other types of body parts, etc. In Klaus, the main character Jesper meets Klaus for the first time. It's a great scene. Due to the character Klaus with large and big proportions, Jesper is terrified and runs away. Lilo and Stitch has got lots of good examples. These are both good. Toy Story, when Woody is captured by the man who owns the store and is always having some cheese puffs. This brings a lot of fast pace to the animation. Right, the appeal of trying to get away from this bad guy or this antagonist. When Woody's friends chase him down to where he's taken, Buzz Lightyear using his powers against his enemy, and Woody in the burning dumb place. Lots of action thrown in with that animation. For sure. Very appealing. Very visually interesting. In Dune, I'm not sure which Dune. It might be, there's a bunch of them. I mean, sorry, the story's all the same, but we'll use the newer versions that came out. The different factions have a different color schemes, exactly. The Harkonnens and the Atreides have a unique look to each of them. And in the final duel of the movie, the villain, dressed in all black, portrayed as the invader, faces the main character dressed in sand-colored clothes like the desert, okay? Interesting observation here, because it's showing that our main character is trying to integrate with the area, the environment that they're a part of, and the villain is sticking out. They're contrasting the scene dressed in all black, so that might tell the audience that these two are different. In Spider-Verse, appeal is used throughout with saturated colors, fluid fight scenes, exactly. This helps the audience connect with the movie and feel a part of it. That's a good one. That's a great example of what appeal does, is it helps you connect with the story that these artists are trying to tell. All right, now's your opportunity to start actually practicing some of these appeal things we've discussed, other things that people have mentioned. I would like you to draw a simple character or scene. It can be really simple. I think I would prefer you guys do characters since scenes have a lot of parts that are demonstrating the principle of appeal. All right? This means how are you going to stylize your character in a way that's visually interesting to you, but could also be used as storytelling in the world that they're a part of. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. 3 minutes enough time? We'll probably we'll go 5, and then we can take away if we need. Okay. 6 minutes, actually. I changed my mind. Draw me a simple character or scene that uses appeal. And if you would like a pen and tablet, they do work for Kirapod. I'm going to get this started, and I can always add more time if we need to. Ignore the AI feedback to an extent, but it is still a useful thing that you can reference in the future. Okay, let's start at the top here. Alright, let me just see the image. There we go. Okay, so these two characters, I wish I could move this too, have two very distinct sets of appeals, which also tells me as an audience member that they tell two different stories. They come from two different backgrounds. How they interact is going to be the interesting part. That is where your story is going to come from, okay? That is where the principles can be applied. It's where the storytelling can happen between the appeal of these two characters. Very nice job. Okay, let me close this. Okay, who's next? Let's see. Very appealing. Again, same sort of story where the dress has very, what's the word? Can't remember the word right now. What is that word? Intentional. Intentional pieces with the layering, the ruffles here. Okay, the hair, the tiara. All of this is included in the sort of appeal. What is this character's story that they're trying to tell here? Very nice. Okay. What do we have here? Oh, what are these? Those are other things. Oh, we already did this one. Sorry. Close tab. Let's see if it does it. There we go. So, thinking of shapes here, shape language. This looks like a boxer type character with their fists up in a defensive sort of stance. Based on the stance that the artist has chosen with this one, the appeal is that this character is either needing to defend themselves or maybe someone who's guarded because they're literally guarding themselves. I like the use of the circles. The appeal makes it easy for my human brain to understand that this is also a person. So, very nice job. Good job, y'all. Alright, let's see what else we got. We got a sort of cool type character. The appeal of just is very comic book-like, very cartoony in the way that they are, their expression, the sunglasses, the hair. It's drawn me in. I want to know more about what this dude is thinking. Okay. All right. Up next we have, looks like a Mickey Mouse appeal with bright colors, right? Exactly. A fun expression, an approachable shape. Things that are rounder, things that have roundness to them, are a lot easier for, a lot easier for our minds to understand. Usually, round equals friend in the human brain, and sharp equals scary. So, nice work here. An iconic sort of character. This one says scared. They've got the appeal of like a roughness to their clothes. Their expression is clearly scared. The appeal here is that this drawing, they're trying to highlight just the expressions by leaving out some of the, maybe not leaving out, but prioritizing the scared expression is going to help me as the audience sort of understand what's going on here. Okay? I don't know what happened here. Looks like the appeal is maybe the mystery. Maybe it's the side of, maybe this is a 1 on a dice. Okay. The appeal could be, I don't know what this means. Maybe it's a black hole. Maybe it's an eyeball. Who's to say? There's an appeal in mystery as well. Oops, I don't want to save the image. My bad. I'll do it in a new tab. Okay. Got something that could be perceived as a villain based on their size, based on their sharp corners, things that are going to be communicating to me that this character might be an antagonist. But the appeal could be maybe they're not an antagonist. Maybe they end up being a big sweetheart or something. Something that goes against the nature of their communications is always interesting for an audience to see. Nice work. All right, we have a group of, they look like cats, and then I don't know. This reminds me of something. I can't remember the name of the creatures. Maybe it is from like Lilo and Stitch type thing. But a bunch of kitties, and then this dog. We'll call it a dog. Dog-looking thing. Very nice. Very appealing. I'm wondering what they're getting into, what sort of mischief this group of critters is going to create. Okay. We got a very detailed SpongeBob here. The appeal being a little bit different from the character's typical presentations, lacking arms and some of the other details that SpongeBob typically carries. The appeal could be, it's in a different light as well, something that we weren't expecting. Again, audiences love to be put into mystery, and they also love to have their expectations switched up, and this is a good way to do that. you'll notice as I'm kind of discussing the appeal of these characters is that there's no one solution, there's no one method that I'm prioritizing. It's because appeal is very much coming from you guys as the artists, right? What the choices that you make are going to create the appeal for your audience because as audience members, they're going to look for meaning wherever they can find it, okay? This one's appealing because we have a prop of some type. I hope it's a flower. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but the appeal is there. I'm interested to know what more is happening here. We have anything animal related and a humanoid frame is typically going to communicate friendly to different audience members. This character, again, has that roundedness, that sort of, I say blobbiness not as a critique but as a compliment because that's a very safe shape and it's going to tell people that this character is something that you can be, or someone that you can feel safe around. Now, keep in mind, another aspect of the storytelling that you can use here, like I mentioned with the villain, is you can go the other direction. If you create think about like Zootopia, okay? If you create a very friendly looking character like the sheep, Comair, look how that turned out. She ended up being the villain, right? Spoiler alert. You can use appeal to change the story that you're telling, okay? We got some appeal through color, some appeal through simplicity with the butterfly here. I like the addition of the, I'm not sure if this was intentional, but the hearts on the antenna. Hearts are going to communicate love, right, or compassion. This is telling me that this is a friendly type of bug compared to maybe an unfriendlier type of bug. We got another one of the mice. Colorful. This one's Minnie Mouse. Changing up the accessories. She could be wearing strawberry clothes if she's like a really small change of... What am I trying to say here? If you're doing a change of style, Minnie Mouse in your own depiction. Pretty good. Then what do we have here? This is our final one. We have a bear that's working out, doing some type of human activity, something you wouldn't typically see a bear doing. That is also appeal, is when you, again, change your audience's expectations or throw them off in ways that they weren't expecting. That's the fun part of animation. It's the fun part of storytelling, right? I don't think we have time for this one. But I do want you to do this and an exit task. Reflect on today's lesson. How would you describe... Well, no, we already did this with the entry task. Never mind. Okay. The last thing I need you to do for me today is go to announcements, or if you go to modules, and then is weekly thread in there? It is. Period 1. Okay. Exit task. It's this guy right here for 1-7. Now that we have seen all of the animation principles, now that we have practiced each of the concepts that make up modern animation as a whole, I'm curious, how has the way you've watched animated things changed? I'm also curious, how has it stayed the same throughout this process? Tell me that in the exit task discussion here, and that will be our day today.